Hello guys, and welcome to the magicwordpodcast.com that I'm going to be having Cosmo as my guest. You guys get to join us live over here then today and kind of see our better side, I guess, our legs. That's right, nice looking legs. We dress alike. Anyhow, we're going to get started over here in the podcast. You can hear this all later. Let me get this cranked up over here. Hello, this is Scott Wells for the magicwordpodcast.com, and today I have a very special guest, somebody who I happen to drag in from the streets, a popular street magician, legendary street magician. Please welcome Cosmo. Hey, Cos.
Hey, man, what's up? Legendary?
Yeah, you're a legend.
Yeah.
Hard to live down a little.
You know what that means?
What's
I'm
that
just
mean?
getting old, that's all.
You've outlived everyone else. That makes you the legend.
I've outlived a few of them, I think. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Lucky.
Well, Cellini was one of the legends, certainly. He was a friend of yours and a mentor. Is that
Yeah, he was really good. I loved him, yeah.
Yeah.
It was,
Did he live in New York, or how'd you get to...
Cellini lived in, when I met him, I met him in New Orleans, but he lived in, most of the time that I knew that when I was, with him, he was in Greensboro, North Carolina.
North Carolina,
yeah. He used to own a bar down there.
Did not know that.
Years and years and years before I met him, he had a bar called Buskers. And Slidini and a whole bunch of magicians were there all the time hanging out, and he'd bring people in and they'd do magic, and it was ill-fated, I think. Cellini was one of those, he was truly a gypsy. I'm not sure he needed to own a bar, but I'm not sure that was his...
Because that trapped him too close to home, and he was more of a wanderer.
And his attitude was always, I don't really care all that much, There's always a street corner where I can go make a living on. So, and...
Did he feel like he can make more money actually working the street than they could behind the bar?
Well, I don't know. I've never had that conversation with him, but I know that, he made good money when he was working on the streets, and, that's the beauty about working on the streets is you're always booked.
That's right. But you have to work kind of different places or the same place. I mean, whenever I see street magicians, it seems like that they work in a certain place and then they're working in another city, and they are, just as you say, have a gypsy heart, and they kind of wander about. Well, Gazzo's a good example of that. Seems like he's all over the world.
Yeah, he wanders. Cellini wandered a lot.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think he really stayed in one place for very long. I don't think he was all that interested in money. I mean, he wanted money, he wanted to live comfortably.
Sure.
But he traveled, it was in Switzerland, or it'd be in England, or it'd be in Germany, or the United States, New Orleans, or wherever he was. In New York City, he worked in New York City.
Right.
He grew up. People don't know this about Jim, but he grew up in an orphanage.
No, I didn't know.
And I think in Connecticut, and he'd never seen the outside walls of that orphanage until he was 18. The nuns escorted him to the door. The day he turned 18, he says, "Okay, go on." And off he went.
You're on your own.
You're on your own.
Wow, more or less just kind of gave him the boot.
It was a scary time. I think for him being a little boy stuck in that environment, it was.
His parents had died in a car wreck or something?
I don't know.
I
don't know. I know he has a sister. He has a sister named Kathy who has contacted me, and she's out there. But Jim died. He was in his early 60s, or maybe 65 or something, mid 60s. But when he was in his 50s, he was an old man when he was 50 years old. I mean, he had heart attacks and sciatic nerve problems and back problems. I mean, he was just falling apart.
Yeah, wow.
Now, I think that was one of the the drawbacks about working outside is that it is physically demanding. Your body needs to be stout.
And also, just from carrying the table and stuff around, or what?
You're standing on concrete all
true.
day long in the sun.
Yeah.
And
that's not what a body's made for. Huh?
No, I don't think it is. No, I remember when I was like 47 years old, I was in Burlington, Vermont, working. My wife was with me, and I worked from like 1 to 6, and between 6 and 7, there's really no reason to work because everybody's having dinner, and so you just take out that hour, and then at 7 o'clock people had a few drinks, they're walking around the street, down Church Street in Burlington, it's beautiful, and they're just hanging out, and then it's a perfect time to do shows. So I stop at 6 o'clock, I'm sitting on a park bench with my wife, we're hanging out, just watching people go by, beautiful night. I looked at her, it was about 5 minutes to 7, and says, I think I'll do a couple more shows. She says, okay. So I get up, I went to get up, and something, my back hurt. And this pain in my back, and I didn't understand what it was because I never felt it before. Oh, I don't, but I do know this, that it never went away.
Ever? I mean, still to this day, you still have
No, just a little bang.
just a twinge?
Yeah. And then it's from standing on concrete,
Well, I think of chefs who are in the kitchen all the time, and they're walking around, but they have some sort of rubber thick matting that they can kind of walk around on or whatever. And in fact, that I've got a trade show table that I bought a mat that fits on where I stand.
Mm-hmm.
So this way that when you're standing for 8 hours during a trade show or whatever, or 6 hours, that you have this cushion, if you will. But I hadn't really thought about that, about how that would be hard on your feet and your back and everything, just on the hard concrete.
Yeah, it's like a trade show worker, except for it's more brutal because usually in a trade show it's air conditioners, there's some shade.
Yeah.
This is sometimes direct sunlight, and you're out
Mm-hmm.
there. And I think it wore on Cellini. I think it wore him down, and he died young. He died bitter. He was mad at the world when he died.
At the world, who or what?
In particular, magicians. He really was mad at magicians because he kind of felt like magicians never gave him his just due, which I think he was wrong. I think that
He went around and gave a lecture, I remember.
Yeah, he did a tour. He did like a 150 city tour in the United States.
Yeah.
The magicians loved him. He just never felt that love and that respect that he felt he should have done because he was truly a great magician.
Yeah.
And I have never seen anybody perform magic more gracefully than him. It was just beautiful to watch.
I think that some magicians have that opinion about themselves, and I'm not sure, a friend of mine here in Houston, Jimmy Finger, is a good magician, but he kind of feels nobody likes him, and so he stays away from magicians because he just doesn't, he feels that we're not accepting for some reason.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I mean, that people have their own opinions about, magic and magicians and everything, but I'm sorry to hear that he actually had died with that bitterness in his heart. That's not
He was upset. He was mad at everybody. He was mad at me. He was mad at everyone.
And you were a friend.
Well, I was a friend, but it was one of those things where it didn't end all that well with Jim and I. It was just he was truly a gypsy, and he didn't look at the world, the way the world probably really is.
Well, again, I think a lot of people who have that gypsy lifestyle, perhaps. No, I don't know. That there are just a handful of guys who really are street performers of the highest regard, as opposed to those who go out occasionally, whatever, but actually make their living at it, like Kozmo, like Johnny Fox, like
Bobby
Maverick, yeah, and others who are out there trying to, beat the pavements every day. I think that's got to be a difficult lifestyle.
It's a great lifestyle, and it's great money. If you're one of those guys, I can tell you that I make $800,000 a day on a Saturday, and what happens to people, and that's why I said I don't think Cellini really cared about money all that much. And what happens is that you start to take money for granted because it's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I were in New Orleans. It was mid-April, and she had a favorite restaurant there, and it was our last day. And I said, "Where do you want to go for dinner?" And she goes, "I want to go to Irene's." Well, that'll cost us $150. You sure you want to go? And she goes, "Yeah, that's what I want to do." I said, "Oh, okay, hang on." And I took my table down the steps onto Royal Street and set up my table on Royal Street and gathered a crowd and did a couple of shows and came back up and says, we got enough money, let's go and do it.
So when you say we'll work for food, really good.
Yeah, really, we worked for food that day. Yeah, Cellini was awesome. He taught, I don't know how much we want to talk about Cellini, but he taught me two things.
What's that?
Two big things. And I want to say this with kindness and respect for him. The first thing he taught me was how to be free, because very few people are truly free.
That's a wide spectrum. When you say free, that conjures up a lot of different images as to what freedom means.
Well, here's a man who can go anywhere he wants to go, anytime he wants to go, and never have to worry about money, and never have to worry about a lot of rules. He can get out of bed when he wants to get out of bed. It's a rule of mine is to never get out of bed until you feel like it.
Yeah.
So he has this freedom. He was truly free. He had really no real ties to hold him to any place. So he taught me that. And I have ties. I volunteered to have ties. And we'll talk about all those ties, I'm sure, as we go through this podcast. The second thing that Cellini taught, and this is what I'm talking about with all due respect, he taught me not to end up like him. Bitter, old, angry,
So he said, "Don't be
broken
like
down.
me."
No.
He didn't say that. You just.
I just watched him.
Oh, and you knew
Yeah.
you didn't want to be.
Yeah, I didn't want that to be happening. I think that some of the great street guys, you look out there, and without mentioning any names, that's where they're going to end up, on the streets. They're never going to take it inside. They're never going to, go beyond it.
Can you retire from that? I mean, is that a career that you can retire from?
Well, there are people. I mean, there's a juggler Robert Nelson, who retired. He was fantastic. He saved every penny. He looked at money the way probably you should look at money.
Right.
And he retired at like 60, 61, 62 years old.
So that's it.
Bought a place in Hawaii.
Great.
And retired there. A year later, he died. He got cancer and died. But he's a legendary performer, that guy. And but he's one of the few.
Yeah.
I think that, and it's really a sad thing because, if you look at what the streets give you, the streets give you an opportunity to do show after show after show after show after show. You can work every day.
Right.
So you can go out and you have this. You can go out and test new material. You can try new ideas every day. What's the worst thing that happens? They walk away. You gotta. That can't bother you if you're a street performer. You better get used to people walking away, because I don't care which street performer you are. They're going to walk away. Someone's walking away. Every show, somebody. No one. They all don't stay.
Right.
For whatever reason. So I think that if you had and it's a failure of mine, was to never really, to just settle for my show and try to make my show better, make it funnier, which is a good thing, but I should have been adding more material to it so that at some point I could have taken it inside and been more successful inside. And I have actually been doing that, but I think that some of the great street magicians that are out there today will never go inside because they love being outside. People think.
When you're saying going inside, you're talking about physically inside of the air conditioned building.
Working, doing shows inside. 10 years. Being on the streets for 1 year is like 10 years of working anywhere else. I mean, you're going to get all this experience. You're going to know about crowd control. You're going to know all these lessons that you're going to learn. It makes you very, very strong. So if you can, when you make some changes to it, and then you can take it inside. So why not develop more material? Why settle for doing the same three effects, coins, cards, and a chop cup routine, or a cups and balls routine, or whatever it is? Right. Why settle for that? Why don't you just bring in an egg bag or rope or whatever it is that you want to do, and and develop that too, so that now you have more and more material. And a lot of us don't do that. I think Kozmo does. He's developed a lot of material, but I don't know if best street magician probably ever. But whether the guy will ever come inside is a big question mark. I mean, and that's no disrespect.
Sure.
I question whether the guy will ever pay attention to the lessons that should have been learned.
Does that bother you, or did you get over that point at some? Did you get over it at some point when people walk away, realizing that, hey, it's not my show that they're not liking, they have someplace else to go? Or do you feel as if that, hey, I didn't do something right in order to keep this crowd or to make it larger? I mean, like as a trade show guy, it kind of bothers me if I can't get more people, or if somebody's there and they walk on, it's like, is it maybe they can't see, they can't hear, or was it the trick that I was doing that didn't interest them? And it's like, okay, they're going to go see another client instead of listening to my pitch. So does that ever bother you?
Well, perhaps you should buy my DVDs to out for the streets.
Oh, really? You have DVDs?
It'll teach you some stuff about building the crowd. Yes, it bothers everyone when somebody walks away. In the back of your mind, you go, "Was it me?" But it's likely not you. If they all walk away, then you might maybe it was you.
You got to reevaluate then.
You have to reevaluate what you just said, which is a beautiful thing about working the streets, because you can say it, and if everybody walks away, well, there's your answer.
Immediate feedback.
Yeah, immediate. I mean, that's it. But people have things to do in their lives. They're walking down the street. They didn't plan on stopping and watching a show. Sure. It's not something they go, "Hey, let's go watch a show." That's not the case.
Right.
So you're taking them out of whatever they were going to do, hoping that they have time to stay and watch. And they may have to go to work. Their wife's waiting for them. They're going to meet some friends for dinner, whatever it is, and they're moving on.
Right.
And that's how it goes.
Right.
So I've always said this, and I still believe it's true. The hardest thing to do as a street magician, the hardest thing to do is to come back the next day after you're getting your butt kicked. Now you see young guys, the new guys that come out there, man, and they go out there for a day. They go to some place like New Orleans, which it's a real streets. It's not like a festival.
Yeah.
We're not talking about festival workers. We're talking about street guys.
So we
Guys
got
who
tourists
work.
coming in, yeah.
We're working on the streets. This is the streets. This isn't a protected environment. And you know, you go out there and people are ruthless. I mean, they are not respectful of you. They think that, you know, particularly in this country, they think they have bad ideas. You know, if you have a table, it must be a 3-card monte guy or a shell
They think
game
you're a
guy,
crook. Yeah, you're trying to get their money.
or you're a bum and you're, you know, there's a scam going on here, or, you know, or why is this guy on the street, you know?
Yeah.
But you know, I think that you know, if you go through that abuse, you go through that, you know, that it's hard
To come back,
come
the next
back
day.
the next day to do that again.
Hmm.
But after a while, you know, keep coming back, you get better. You learn to deal with it. You know, I see these guys come in, they'd work for a day or two, and then in New Orleans, and then you'd never see them again. They would be gone. And they just, and all this, you know, the 3 or 4 of us are down there doing different kinds of shows, just kind of get together in the morning, have coffee, and chuckle about what happened to Joe there.
Yeah.
Joe's gone. I mean, he was out of town. He went back to his wife and kids, and, you know, and which is probably a good thing for Joe, you know. But it's just going out and trying, and that's my advice. That's what big piece of advice I give people is just, look, man, just don't worry about it.
Come back.
Go out, come back the next day. It'll get better. You're gonna be bad when you start. Everybody is, but
Isn't that the same thing, I think, though, with doing a trick? Let's say a
I
watch
mean, other
seal.
than me, I wasn't bad when I started.
Yeah, except for you.
I'm an
That's why you're
exception.
the legend.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm the legend. I'm the exception to the rule.
Everyone has gray hair as a legend. So it's like practice. It's like doing a trick. I was saying that, like a watch steal, that you may not be good at it at first, or you may not fool everybody or anybody, but that doesn't mean quit. Try again. You know,
Yeah.
or if you just because you drop a thumb tip means you shouldn't never use a thumb tip again. It's like, okay, you did something wrong, correct it, move on. But you need to have flight time. You need to be doing this over and over again.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about the streets is you can get that flight time.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be a good magician, you stand in front of the mirror, get a video camera, you work on your moves, you work on your skills, you make sure it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be a great performer, you got to go out and perform. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and look, you know, it's the same thing with comedy when you're trying to do comedy. You know, you have this idea for for a line or a bit of business, and you think it's going to be really funny, and you go out there and you try it, and it just dies.
Yeah.
And you go, oh man, I'm going to throw that thing away. Oh my God, I just died.
Could just be a bad audience.
Could be a bad audience.
It could be the joke. It could
Come
be the
back to me
audience.
with that bad audience thing in just a minute.
Okay.
Or it could be that you just didn't deliver it right. And if you believe in it, do it. You know, it might be the 30th time.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? You're on the streets. Who cares? What are they
That's
going to
right.
do? The
Yeah.
worst they can do is walk away.
That's right. You'll never see them again.
You're never going to see these people again. It's not like you're doing it for your family or your
Right.
friends in town. You know, they're gone.
That's why I used to say about when you're in high school, you know, why not ask out the prom queen what you're going to say but no. I mean, you know, you're still going to live tomorrow, you know. But I think that if you can do that over and over, certainly that you're improving your experience, and you can do, okay, well, that didn't work. I mean, I remember at the Magic Island, for an example, that I had a routine that I had a lot of jokes and everything into it. It was a 5-minute routine, but it didn't have a lot of great points where people were laughing. You know, as far as laughs per minute, it may have been maybe like 9 laughs per minute or something. And Scott Hollingsworth, who was the director of the Magic Island of Entertainment there, was, you know, after he saw me with these audiences, he said, you know, I don't think it's the audience. I think it's the timing, and if you need to cut this and this and this, and cut it from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. And I still had the total number of laughs, which increased from like 9 to 15 laughs per minute, and made it tighter by just kind of eliminating a bunch of stuff that was extraneous patter, that which is what patter means, is just, you know, nonsensical language, basically. You know, it wasn't something scripted. So once I went back and reworked it and just cut the things that weren't funny and went directly for it, it's more like a Stephen Wright type of one-liners, you know, things that you laugh at that are funny.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to yourself talk. I mean, you think you're saying things well, but maybe you're not. Maybe, you know, tightening up how many words do you really need to say to convey this thing is a great idea. here's something that's a great idea, is just to record every show, not the video, just the audio.
Exactly.
Just do the audio recording of every show, because
Gene
you're
Anderson used to say
gonna
that,
you're gonna tighten yourself up.
Sure.
But another thing happens is that the audience is gonna give you stuff. Oh man, the audience said something, you said something
And
back,
you
and
forget it.
it was really funny. It's the end of the show, and you're trying to think of what it was, and
It's gone. Yep, no, that's
And
true.
it's just like I'm going to tell you that it happened to me a million times, and I would be so much better if I
Yeah.
had just recorded it.
Well, there was, talking about an audience, a bad audience or whatever,
Oh, yeah.
I used to do a rock and shoot, the Magic Island, part of my stage act, and that was one of those things that I delivered it at the right time and with the right presentation, that it almost always got just a great reaction. And I remember, again, going back to Scott Hollingsworth, saying that I would judge the audience by that trick you did in your show, because if they just went, okay, or they just kind of had a light chuckle or whatever, he said, I knew that was the audience. So the rest of whatever that you were doing, it wasn't you, because normally that just gets a gasp, that it's so unexpected to have that rock fall out of your shoe and hit the stage. So there are bad audiences.
Oh,
So tell me about that.
Oh, they're bad. Well, I got nothing with it. Anybody who said that there's no such thing as a bad audience, just a bad performer, what a crock of crap. Oh, that is such a crock of crap. Don't buy it. Don't buy that nonsense. And I tell you, it doesn't take, if you're doing a show for 60 or 70 people on the streets, it doesn't take too many people to make a bad audience. You
Really?
got 2 or 3 or 4 people standing there, looking like, with their hands crossed and giving you nothing. It's like a plague going through the audience.
Like a bad apple and a bad bunch, and makes the rest of them spoil or
Yeah,
something?
it does.
I never thought of that. I always
It
thought,
does.
I always think of a good person, if they laugh and everybody else, it's infectious laughter. I never thought of someone's non-appreciation or just sitting there and that would actually infect the group. It does, though, huh?
Magicians aren't exactly a great audience.
I agree with that.
But if you can take,
They're looking for different things.
they're looking for different things. They're looking at from a different side of the brain. They're looking at, can I say it and can I do it? Those are the things they're looking at. But if you just sprinkle a few lay people in that audience, people who are going to actually laugh at stuff they've never heard, when magicians may have heard similar things.
Yeah.
It changes everything. All of a sudden, magicians start feeding off of those lay people and their energy, because they're having so much fun. It makes it better.
Right.
But there's lots of bad audiences out there. I've entertained them all.
What's one of your worst audiences, or a couple that come to mind? Because obviously when you say that, your eyes are lighting up like, oh, I remember this one time.
Well, I was working in New Orleans, and I don't get heckled.
I'm sure you know how to handle hecklers.
And I don't get heckled.
Oh, really? So you don't worry about it, huh?
No, I don't worry about them. I just invite them. Usually they watch me for a couple minutes and go, yeah, I'm not going to get to this guy. But I did get gotten to once. And I was in New Orleans, and that was pretty green still. The guy with his wife, and it was raining, and I moved my table, and I'm underneath this little pavilion. There's not a lot of room for a lot of people, and I'm going way out of my way to be nice to these people. And there's this one guy, and I'm doing my hat pitches, and he looks at, and he's giving me crap the entire audience. That time show, he's just giving me crap. He looks at it, and he looks at his wife is getting ready, I'm asking for money, and he looks at his wife and says, don't give him any money. He doesn't deserve any money. Don't give him any money. And I'm listening to it, and I'm trying to be nice, and he just is relentless and relentless and relentless. And, the show's over, and his wife refuses to listen to him, reaches into her pocketbook, pulls out $1. I take dollars, because I assume that must be all they have, because they definitely should give me more than $1.
Yeah.
So she gives me $1, and her husband just reaming her, just being a jerk.
So don't even give him $1.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the guy, and I'm going, and he's hanging around calling me names, and I'd been nice, and finally I look at the guy and says, listen, you better take your wife out of here, because I'm about to kill you right now. I'm about to kill you. I'm going to beat the shit out of you if you don't move down the road. And his wife is dragging him. He's just being aggressive with me. I'm ready to go. And I was a young buck back then. Now I would have handled it completely differently. I would have just.
So you don't have hecklers nowadays, you say? So
none.
But okay.
Never. No one ever heckles me. Why? Ask me why.
Why is it no one heckles you?
Confidence.
Okay.
It's confidence. If you show weakness, they're going to attack you.
Okay.
People aren't nice. Dogs are nice. People aren't nice.
Show
weakness.
Okay.
Show weakness, right? So if you show weakness out there, somebody's going to get to you. is going to happen. Maybe not this show, but the next show or the next show or something, and they're going to gang up on you. And
So how do you show that confidence? I mean, is that something
Well,
that
it's
you
confidence.
suit? I mean, that you're,
Yeah.
it's like you take charge of everything and the situation and the people and say, come over here, I want you to do this. And so when you have somebody come over, I mean, they might be reluctant, and you're saying, no, you're coming here right now. I mean, you're showing that you're in charge? Or
well, I go to them.
Yeah, okay.
Eventually, I'll go to them, and then I'll get them to come over. I have methods to get them to come, which is our visual methods, which you'd have to see, which I can't really explain here. But it's all about confidence, and I'm confident because I've done it so many times. I was confident from the beginning because I just didn't care. I mean, look, if they walk away, okay, I'm just going to do another one. I'm just going to keep working on this till I get it. And
Yep.
I got it quickly. So I was fortunate. I was like sometimes people never get it.
Yeah.
And not everybody can do this. You have to have just this weird kind of personality.
Maybe that's why there's only a handful of people, almost literally a handful of guys who do this and are successful at it.
Well, there's a bunch of guys that do it. They're discussing which dumpster they're going to eat out of that. Which I'm telling you, I saw this online. It was terrible. I'm just going, they had this buskers group on Facebook or something. And they're all 3 or 4 of them talking about the best kind of dumpsters to eat, what kind of restaurant. It's true. And I'm just telling people, look, man, I'm not included in your deal, but
I'm going to leave this group if we're going to have this discussion.
Don't ask me any questions.
Now, I know that speaking of buskers, that they have those conventions around. There was something in Canada. Have you competed in these things?
Well, they compete. I don't compete. I already won. But that's how I look at it. I mean, I don't need to compete. I don't care for the title. I never really understand all those magic competitions. I always thought it was just kind of, who's the judge?
Well, in the buskers situation, it's the hat, I guess. However much money.
Well, that's not fair. That's not fair. A magician versus a juggler. A juggler is going to have 5 times as people watching. 5 times as many people watching, so that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I just look at it and go, look, I won because for the last 25 years I've been doing this for a living.
Right.
So I don't need to compete. But there are buskers festivals, busker festivals that that a lot of buskers get together and do, and
right.
I've attended and worked at a few of those, but it's just not my thing. I prefer to work where I don't have to compete with bucket drummers and jugglers and
statues
and just find a place where I can just go to work, and I'm fine. They got the big pitch, like in Boulder, they got this big pitch where everybody fights and they all stand in line all day long so they can get their one shot of doing a show on the big pitch. And while they're all doing that, I'm a tenth of a mile down the way, in a nice little shady spot, doing shows for 50 or 60 people, making $75 a show and doing 5 of them in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And making $800, $900, $1,000 that day, just being casual in a nice shady spot working.
Right.
I was working in New Orleans. There's this pitch. It's on the corner of St. Pete and Decatur, and they had an act that was there to Calypso tumblers. There was one of the tumblers. His name was Alex. These guys were great. Huge act. They would work in front of the steps. And they get 1,000 people, and there was watching them, or 800 people. I mean,
they were dancers.
They were tumblers.
Oh, okay.
And or maybe 500 people, whatever. The place would be full.
Right.
And they do $400 or $500 hats.
Wow.
And they take them,
how many
an hour. There were 5 of them. They do a show, and they would do, it would last 45 minutes or an hour, and then they would take a little break and do another one. They do maybe three a day. They'd have to rotate with the other act that was there, so they make it 2 or 3 a day. So they make, $800, $900 in half, but then they had to split it between 5 guys, and they make them walking with a couple $100.
Each.
One Wednesday, when no one works in New Orleans, no one does street shows in New Orleans on Wednesday, I was always working on Wednesday. I'd work that little pitch, and I'd gathered 30, 40 people, and this Alex guy, this tumbler, he comes by and he's standing there, he watches me for like 2 hours. He stands back and just watches me. And after about 2 hours, he walks up and he goes, "You are the smartest busker I've ever met in my life. You are the man. You sit over here and you're making $50, $60, show after show after show after show after show, putting very little effort into it, just doing some magic and making people laugh. And you're working on a Wednesday and you walk out of here with $400 or $500. So I was.
Whereas these other guys are.
They're just killing themselves, just like
right.
and fighting for pitches and wanting to do big shows. I get the idea that people want to do these big shows, and because there's a specific energy, their ego goes out of the.
Well, they might also have another agenda in which they want to get booked for a bigger venue and do something on the stage, or maybe for TV to see them or something.
It doesn't happen all that much often, though.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, I was working in.
Well, they might also just be wanting to get some experience, like we were talking about flight time.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, or this is their life, which is
Probably the case.
probably the case.
Okay.
It is the case. I know it's the case.
Okay.
I'm working in Santa Monica on 3rd Street Promenade. I just do a show. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon. I asked my hat, make $75. Nothing serious, but. And this guy comes in and he goes, "Man, you're great." He says, "Look, next Saturday my kid's got a birthday party." He goes, "Would you come and do it?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." He goes, "How much do you think you'd want?" I go, $350, $400. He goes, "Huh? What are you talking about? $400?
Yeah.
You're on the street." And I go, respectfully, so just go look in my hat. And I go, "How much is there?" He goes, $77. I go, $77. Okay, when you walk out of here, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to do it 5 times in the next 2 hours. I'm going to make $400 in the next 2 hours. But I'll probably stay out here for 8 hours. You do the math. And you want me to come to your kid's birthday party. Now, how much would you like to pay me?" He goes, "I was thinking like $75. And I'm going, "Hey."
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just looking at him and go, why would I do that? Just think about why would I do that? But that's the thing is that, I lost myself there.
Well, some years ago, I remember talking to Charles Green III, who was talking to us about doing restaurants. When he was here in Houston, he was working 9 restaurants in a week. And he was kind of like Garrett Thomas now, working in all these places. And one of the busiest guys. But he was using this as an means to an end of working more corporate shows, which he eventually went into. But his philosophy was not to take tips because what you were just saying, is that if somebody would give him $20, even a $100 tip or whatever, then say, "Hey, would you come and do our trade show?" Well, yeah, it's going to be $3,000 over the day. Well, wait a minute, you were here for just 15 minutes and I just gave you $20, and if you kind of equate that, that's not going to be worth that much for the day or whatever. Or come to my house and do 45 minutes while I just paid you $10 or whatever. So they equate the tip to being what your value is, basically, as opposed to what your real value is.
Well, I think that people look at street performers like they don't have as much value as human beings.
That's an interesting point.
So why would they have as much value as an entertainer in their house?
You're just one step up from a beggar and a homeless person. It's kind of
that's how you look at it.
A deck of cards and this guy begging for money and he knows a card trick.
I mean, people look at you badly. I was working on 3rd Street, and I'm getting ready to start a show, and there was a man with his little boy walking down the street, and he's probably 7, 8 years old. Mm-hmm. And I look at the guy, and so he's going to walk by me, so I start heading over there with a coin. I'm going to stop him and build a show.
Yeah.
And I heard him. It was only like 15 or 20 feet from me. He looks down at the sun. He says, "Don't look at him. Just keep walking straight ahead." Now he's walking by. He's 5 feet from me, and I'm talking to him. And I'm kind of chuckling because I heard what he said. It's awful as it was. And he's walking by me, and I'm looking at him and going, and I'm talking to him, and he's just, this adult man is just so rude. He's just flat ignoring me. He doesn't say no thank you. He doesn't say anything. He's just moving on. I'm just a bad person. Mm-hmm. He gets, 15, 20 feet from me, and he slows down, looks down at the sun. The sun looks up at me and he goes to his son. He says, "You see that man right there? That's a man who's made bad decisions in his life."
Wow. Okay. How do you feel when they said that?
I know differently.
Yeah.
So
you were already confident enough in your ability to kind of like, okay, whatever.
But if I was a new guy, oh my God, it'd break me. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to do this.
So you're.
But I know my reality, and I know his reality. He lives in L.A. He's a good father. He loves his son. That's why he said that. He's trying to take and teach his son, even though his twisted view of what reality really is.
Yeah.
He gets up every morning at 6 o'clock, this guy, to go to work. He gets in his car. It takes him an hour to go 10 miles because he's got to fight the traffic.
Right.
He gets there. He's at work at 7:30. He works until 5 o'clock at night when he gets back in the car and goes through an hour and a half to get back home because of the traffic. He's afraid. He works hard every single day because they're talking about downsizing. They're talking about laying people off. His industry is having a bad go. This is the pressures that this guy lives with every single day. Yeah, and I'm the guy who made the bad decision, even though I'm the guy who makes more money. I make more money than this guy.
Per hour.
I never have to worry about losing my job.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to worry about being healthy, just like everybody else in the world.
Yeah.
You have to stay healthy to make a living. His reality and his view of it, and I understand this completely where he's coming from, because people have this view of people who work on the streets as Rocco said it to me. I love Rocco. He says, Cosmo, you work on the streets? And I go, yeah. And he goes, why do you do that? It makes you look like a beggar.
So what do you say to him?
I says, nah, Rock, that's really not what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Rocco, so I didn't want to say anything negative to him. I was just saying, no, that's really not. You should come out and watch me work, Rock. You should come out and watch me work, do some shows, then you'll understand.
I learned that so long ago, and I was at a magic shop, and I want to say it was in Philadelphia or someplace, and I was talking to the guy who was the magic dealer there, and this would have been in the 70s, 80s, sometime way back when, and the guy said, there's another fellow there, and he said, well, I got to go to work, and I said, what are you working? If there's a restaurant, I might come and see, and he said, well, I'm working over in the mall. And he said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm doing street magic. And that's the first time I really heard of somebody having that as a job, and that was where he was going. And after he left, I was talking to the guy, and I said, is there much money? And I said, yeah, I make about $800 tonight. What? Just in a few hours? I was just astounded to think, wow, he had made a career choice, and this is what he was going out. And then way back then, even.
Yeah, and the money, I certainly, here's the thing, is like, I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
I've done it 30,000 times. I'm really good at this. You look at a guy like Kozmo, he does it every day.
Mm-hmm.
He's been doing it for so long, for years and years and years. He's really good at it. He's going to make great money.
Sure.
But then the other new guy comes on, he's not making, he's only getting like $6 a hat, and he's doing $9 a hat. Now look, if he's smart, he's going to do like 8 or 10 minute show, and then the material, it's better to do 10 minutes of great material than 25 minutes of mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's doing 10 minutes or 8 minutes, and that's how it happened for me, as I was doing 7, 8 minutes, passing my hat, doing 7, 8 minutes, and then just naturally grew. If he's doing 7 or 8 minutes, and he makes $6, and he does that 5 times in an hour, he's making $30 an hour in cash. Mm-hmm. Which is probably way better money than the money he's working tables, working in a restaurant so it's okay if you have the proper perspective. You look at a guy like me and go, man, I want to make that kind of money. I want to do that nice big show, have all those people laugh. Well, that is years and years and years and years and years of work.
Sure.
It didn't happen overnight.
Right.
So you go out, you go to work. You make $6 and the show's 8 minutes, and pretty soon you're making $15 and the show is 12 minutes. And then you're making $25 and the show is 15 minutes, and it gets a little bit longer, a little bit bigger, and pretty soon, and then it gets to the point where you're doing, $50, $60 hats, but or $40 hats, and you're working all day and all night, to get the $400 or $500 or $600 or $700 that you want to make that day.
Yeah.
But after you get to that point, now you just start the shows. You start making more money off of every show, and pretty soon you're making that money, and you're only working 3 or 4 hours. It's a wonderful. Listen, it's just a wonderful thing. It's a huge blessing that I've been given this little magic show. It's been fantastic.
What's a good set for people to get started? Obviously cups and balls are something that brings an audience, and maybe coin tricks or whatever. You have something to recommend that's good 3-4 trick set?
Well, I do a coin thing, I do a card trick, and I do a chop cup routine. That's basically what I do.
Okay.
And the reason why I do the coin trick is I'm doing a coin effect matrix on a table. Mm-hmm. And for people to see, they have to come up close.
Gotcha.
So my goal makes it harder to get people to the table, but I found ways to get people to the table. So if I can get people to the table, they can watch this matrix. Now, here's the thing. If I was started with a card trick and somebody selected a card, and say they picked the 5 of hearts, and there's 7 people watching this card trick, and the guy puts the 5 of hearts into the deck, and he's going to find that 5 of hearts in the most magical way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And another group of people come up, and the wife looks at the husband and says, "What's he doing?" "I think he's a magician. He's doing a card trick." "Oh. Hey, isn't there a Starbucks around the corner?" And off they go.
Yeah.
Well, why didn't they stay?
Uh-huh.
They didn't stay because they didn't know what the card was. There was really, but if I'm doing this,
good point. See exactly what you're saying.
so if I'm doing this coin effect, and the coins
It's a
go
multi-phase thing.
Multi-phase thing.
Yeah.
So that multi-phase thing, people come up within a few seconds, they're going to see some magical thing happen. I can stop and pause. I can look at people, have a conversation, learn their names. And I want to get 6 groups of people to my table before I finish that coin thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to learn a name from each group, right? So that I can use that name when I talk to them. So now, because I'm using their names, I'm becoming their friends. We're forging a relationship. We're having a conversation.
Right.
They're starting to like me, and I'm doing some great magic for them. And now it's much more likely that they're going to stay and watch the whole show because we're friends, and they're the core of my audience. I need them to stay.
Mm-hmm.
But the second thing is really is that they're much more likely to give me more money instead of giving me $1 to it. Like that, give me a 5, a 5, a 10, a 10, a 5, and a 5.
Because you spend enough time with them, and then you have engaged them.
And
as
I
a
know
friend.
their name as a friend, and now I know their names, and they're going to give me $40.
Yeah.
So anybody else that comes up, I've done nothing. I've done a coin trick, and I made $40. Anybody else that comes up, it's just gravy. So I sit there and I found little ways to make that audience get bigger and bigger, and make people laugh. And make them
So a couple of
excited.
tips what I hear you saying then is, first of all, have your tricks in your set short enough and also big enough that people can see, or if it's close at the beginning as you start to build that crowd, it could be on the table, but they should be quick enough to get to the point to get the effect and then move on. Or it could be if it is a multi-phase effect, I'm thinking like the rope routine. I've seen people do a 5-minute rope routine. If you come in the middle, there are still things that are happening that you didn't have to be at the first part of that. But if you do a card trick and someone signed it, then you 5 minutes later you don't want to say, "I remember this guy had signed his card a while ago." Yeah, they can walk on. So I hear you saying, be quick with that, and then second of all is to engage your audience on a personal basis by getting to know them and call them by name.
Right. Magicians always talk about, well, you should always have your magic happen up high where people can see it, and I'm taking a different approach. I'm saying I want it to be high when it's time for it to be high.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be down low and close when it's time for it to be close. In the beginning, I think it's time for it to be close.
Because you have small audience.
And then I can move away from the table and step back, or move the table back and have the audience stay.
Which is why you start with the coin trick, that you have to stop a person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like on a trade show, again, trying to get that first person or people to stop, at the booth and about something, that I've heard different ways of trying to do that. Everyone's got their own.
You look at a guy, well, here, this is how you do it. I'll give this to you.
Okay.
Let's say Gary Thomas's ring banded thing, where the rings go from finger to finger. Maybe some of you guys out there know this. He also did a ring thing where the rings going from finger to finger. He's just tossing it up. I'm thinking that ring thing. You may know what this is. If you don't look into it, search YouTube. You'll see tons of stuff on that. But look, if you're going to do that kind of, it's a modular effect where the ring's going from your hand to your finger, and it's very visual. What if you just took the ring off your finger and you step away from the table a little ways? If you're 15 feet from the table, people don't associate you with the table because you're 15 feet away.
Right.
And the table is a negative thing. Table is a 3-card Monte guy. It's a shell game guy. This is what they've seen on TV their whole lives. But if you're 15 feet away from that, you can just, like a kid walking by and you take the ring. Hey kid, catch.
Yeah.
Get the kid's attention and toss him the ring. He catches the ring.
Right.
Now he has the ring. You could do the same thing with money. Here, take the coin, catch the coin. Now he's got the coin. He has to stop. His family has to stop because he has your money.
Yeah.
The parents aren't going to. You're not going to throw it to a straight kid. You're going to throw it to a kid who's with a family. They're going to stop, and then you just walk over and go, "Can you pay attention?" And you do the coin trick. You do the ring trick, and the people automatically know that you're good and what you are. You're a magician. And then you say, "Look, take the ring. Take the coins and make sure they're real, and walk back to now walk over to your table."
Yeah.
So now you've brought the table into the mix. And you look at the kid and you say, hand the coins to your mom. She looks like she knows about money. Now the mom's looking at the coins. You look at the mom and you say, are they real? We'll give them to the kid. And the kid, I says, kid, bring them here. And the kid comes up to the table and puts the coins on the table. And now I have their kid.
Yeah. At
And
the table.
You're right. And I look at the parents and I go, come up here. Don't trust me. Didn't you read about me in the papers?
Yeah.
And pretty soon the parents have to come up to the table and say, I have a group.
Yeah, interesting.
But you can build a whole audience. You can build 2 or 3 groups of people, bring them in without even being over by the table, and then bring them to the table. And it's not hard to bring them to the table.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is be good. You've got one chance to be good.
Yeah.
One chance. So whatever you do, you better be good when you're away from the table, when you're trying this method to get people to stop and come to your table. So if you're at a trade show, it's not a lot different. Just walk out of the booth. Walk out of the booth and just toss people, hey, check this out, and start doing stuff with that ring or the coin, and boom, and pretty soon they like what you're doing. Now it's, oh, this guy's good, let's go check him out. Gladys, and out they come in.
They feel comfortable enough because you are not a stranger. You've engaged them.
Yeah.
Yes, at that
And
point.
you've told them your name. They've told you theirs. You know the kid's name. You can play with the kid. You can pick on them a little bit because adults love to see an adult pick on a kid.
Yeah,
it's great stuff.
Well, so to go in a little bit different direction, I know that many people know you not only as a street musician, of course, but being the producer, director, and the creator of Real Magic, REEL Magic Magazine, which is a great magazine. It's been out for 5 years now, or about how long? 6 years?
8 years.
8 years. I was going to say, boy, time flies.
It's 2007. It's 9 years. We've been working on it for 9 years.
You used to put it out monthly or quarterly? Or
it was first year was quarterly. Then it ended up being 6 times a year, and now it's really kind of changed into something new. The magazine, it's a video magazine. It's on DVD. And this isn't an advertisement, but this is the progression of how this thing happened. We started putting it out 4 times a year, and this has everything a paper magazine has in it, except for its videos, interviews with the biggest names in magic, and columnists, and tricks, and moves, and all that stuff. And the first 4 years that we did it, our numbers went up every single issue, and then more subscribers every single issue, and then it flatlined for a couple of years, and then started to drop, and we couldn't figure out how to make that trend stop. I think that's happening to all the magazines that are out there now.
Of course, this is it's a video magazine as opposed to a hard magazine, hardcover.
But still, I mean, the internet is where people are getting their content. So I thought, or most people are, there's still people hanging on to DVDs. And God bless you, we're going to keep making them as long as you want.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, we'll put each issue up, stream it, sell each issue individually for $8, and but I didn't really feel like it was going to work, and we had put a lot of time into putting this stuff on, developing a site. One day I was watching Netflix on TV, and I looked at it and I go, oh, that's the solution.
That's the future. That's not the future. That's now.
That's now. So the next morning I called my web guys and I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give them everything for $5 a month.
Because you were like $10.
Well, it's $10 an issue, but so now we're going to give them all
content, past
every issue prior to this, every issue in the future. But then I started to think, I started looking at my vault video that I had. And I had some stuff that people hadn't seen, and I thought, well, maybe we'll just create additional content, just a page where you can just go get extra stuff, just like bonus stuff. And then that idea just kind of morphed into what it is now. And I think we're more like the Netflix of magic. I guess that's a name that magicians would be able to identify as Netflix, but I think what we really are is like lynda.com. And I don't know if you know what lynda.com, Lynda.com. It's a site where you can learn how to deal with any kind of software that's out there. So like how you want to learn to edit, you can learn Premiere, you can learn Final Cut, you can learn. It's a massive site. It's $25 a month or something for this site. You have access to all of this digital library. It's mammoth, and you can learn Dreamweaver. You can learn all of the Photoshop. Every question is answered there by professionals. It's professional video. And so I thought, well, that's it. I mean, it's, Netflix is it, but it's more like lynda.com because it's educational. We're trying to teach people how to do magic.
Right.
So we have this. So now the site is much larger than we thought it was going to be, and we do live events. We just had Low Sander, and he did a live event.
Is that the TNT Tuesday night?
No, that's Low Sander. That's a live event. You can watch it live, and then a few days later, you can watch it
Download.
Streamed. You can watch it streamed. It lives on my site. You can watch it streamed anytime you want, as long as you're a member and you continue to pay the $5. Just like Netflix is $8. You stop paying it, you don't have access to that stuff anymore. $5, you have access for as long as you want to pay the $5, and then when you stop paying, access goes away. You can come back 2 months later if you want and re-access it just by paying the $5.
Right.
So that's what Real Magic has turned into, and what it's going to turn into in the future is a lot of like exclusive things for short periods of time, like. We'll put an effect up that's really, really good. That would be something you would pay good money for. And we'll put it up for 10 days. And then we'll take it down. And the reason why we're doing that is kind of a tricky business thing, is we're just trying to get people to not come and go as much. So if we can put something up once a month that's special, you learn it, and it kind of goes away.
Right. Okay.
So exclusive thing. Now, that's not going to be the entire site. That's just a small portion of what we plan on doing. We're still going to have every issue of Real Magic up there. We're still going to have all the live events up there, all the stuff that we currently, like TNT, which is Tuesday Night Tricks, a new trick every Tuesday night. That's seasonal, Scott. So for eight weeks, we have a new trick every Tuesday night. Then it stops. And then we'll introduce season 2 and then season 3. We've done 3 seasons of it. We can't do it we're limited in time, and we're not a huge company, so we have to focus on okay, we're doing TNT right now. Then we're going to do the next issue of the magazine. Then we'll do maybe a trio, which is 3 tricks from an artist, and then 2 weeks after that we do a live event with Low Sander in December. Curtis Cam with Kino Harbottle, special guest Kino Harbottle. So those is and that's happening in December. So there's a lot of stuff for $5 a month. It truly isn't, not to sound like a commercial, but it truly is an unbelievable deal for $5.
I think it is. It's a wonderful resource that you provide that's out there. That it is very much like what you say. Exactly, it is a video magazine because it has ads, and on the digital side you can click on it and see videos and go to their websites, or that you can see some interviews and learn tricks and everything. And you attend a lot of conventions where you get to talk with these guys and everything then too. I tell you, as we start to kind of wrap up over here, we could spend another hour talking about this next subject, which is very near and dear to what happened with Real Magic, and that is piracy. We just talked last week with Yigal Masika, who had gone into mediation, arbitration with Penguin Magic over his elastic loops, which I understand that has been resolved. We'll report on that in the next podcast after he has a chance to chat with us about it. But he was talking about piracy, and I know you and I have talked about this, about how that after the DVD was released, that within days there were thousands of torrents where these have been uploaded and available free online.
Yeah, there's
nothing to do about it.
No, there's nothing I can do. The Chinese are, they're selling Real Magic for,
next to nothing.
Next to nothing. Yeah, it's an awful thing. I mean, it's not that people mean. I think a lot of times it's not that people are really trying to steal from producers, because let me tell you something, you are stealing from producers when you do that. Yeah. There's no question. And people who listen to this podcast do this.
Yeah. You're taking,
not all of you, some of you.
Food out of people's mouths.
Yeah, you are. You're affecting how we make our living, so that you can have something for free. It is a huge problem. I know people who aren't releasing things anymore. John Cornelius is a guy who's never going to release anything again, and he's brilliant, and he has all this great stuff that all you guys would love and do, but you're never going to see it.
Yeah.
Bob Sheets said the same thing. There's going to come a point where
Steve Dushak's another one.
Yeah, we're just not going to give you anything else. We're not going to do well. I spend a lot of time developing artists these days, working with artists. You know, I've worked with Eric Jones and Garrett Thomas, and I are very, very close. I mean, I just did Doc East, and I've worked with a lot of great magicians.
Sure.
And and it's just, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to produce something. And right now, producers don't want to produce DVDs that are just a DVD.
They want to have digital format.
They want to produce
content.
They want to produce something that has something that goes with it that you can't steal or manufacture.
A prop.
A gimmick. And that's why you see all that stuff out there. There's other ways to do it, man. We're just not going to show you that way because you're just going to download it and steal it off a torrent site. And again, I'm not talking to everybody. I'm talking just about all you guys who do it. Look, this is how I put it. Johnny Depp movie just came out. Scott, let's go for a ride. I want to go get the Johnny Depp movie. So you and I get in my car, we go down the road, we go to Walmart. I say to you, hey, Scott, go in and steal the Johnny Depp movie for me, would you? And you would say, I'm not gonna go in there and steal. I'm not a thief. But if you could download it, you would. So that makes you in
the privacy of your home.
Somehow you think there's a difference. Well, why? Because you're stealing that disc. The disc has no value. It's the content that's on the disc that has the value, and it's the same content you download off a torrent site.
I think it has to do, perhaps, with the philosophy of today, of so much being offered for free on the internet, and so people are beginning, myself included, humans in general, think that we have a right to this content because it's free. You go to Google and you can check whatever, or you go to YouTube and they're teaching you how to do some things that it's a new proprietary trick that's just been on the market, and then there's some person who is out there now exposing and saying, hey, make your own, here's how you do that kind of thing.
What I don't understand is why are you doing it?
Yeah.
I mean, why are
they're trying to do it for likes
Yeah.
and for exposure.
Yeah, do you think, but you're hiding your face.
Correct. Yeah.
You're hiding
and
your
face.
face.
And a lot of times your name, they'll go under some
You have some silly name, you're hiding your face, and you've stolen from somebody who, if you saw at a convention, you'd walk up to and ask for a picture and an autograph.
That's right. Well, I was just talking with somebody, I was talking to Gary Plants at lunch yesterday, and he was talking about people coming up and to celebrity magicians or whoever has a lecture notes with photocopies and saying, hey, would you sign this? And it's like, this is just a photocopy. This is not my original. And I said, well, what do you do? So, well, I sign it, but just say, this isn't an original. You don't really need to be buying it.
Some guy, I'm sure he was a nice person. I'm sure he was younger. He sent me a message on Facebook. And he goes, listen, he says, I got to tell you something. I feel bad about it. I really do. I feel bad about this, but I downloaded your DVD set off a torrent site. And it changed my life. All the information about working on the streets there. I want to pay you. He says, so how can I send the $70 to you? And I sent a message back and I said, so does this mean that you've ripped off all of my friends too? Are you going to pay them too?
Yeah, I'm sure I wasn't the only one who stolen from.
That's right. I'm not the only one that you've stolen.
It's just you got more from mine than the other guys.
Yeah, somehow you feel guilty because because I'm a legend.
Yeah.
So, and I never heard from the guy again.
Ooh, really? Never got $70 either.
No, I don't care about the $70.
No,
I would have rather said that to him.
Yeah.
We work so hard. People don't understand. Garrett Thomas works, the best close-up magician in the world, works every single day on magic. It's the only thing he does.
And as you say, he's the next time Vernon.
Yeah. No, he's going to be better than Vernon. He's better than Vernon right now.
Okay.
And sorry, Magic Castle. Yes. And he works so hard to create these things, these masterpieces.
Yeah.
And then you just take them.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't deserve anything. That somehow you are entitled to this. You ask if we're angry. Producers are angry. People who create this are mad. You're damn right we're angry.
Yeah.
It's our living.
Stealing our babies.
Our work. Someday, you people who are stealing this stuff are going to want to get paid for your work. And I hope you do, so you can afford to pay us for ours.
And you'll recognize how important that it is and what's being taken from you just as you're taking from other
Yeah, I
people.
mean, you go to work, you got a job at McDonald's or whatever it is, and young guys got a job at McDonald's. At the end of the week, they don't give you a paycheck. Why not? Well, why do we? We don't have to. You know, it's the same thing. What do you taking our work? Or you want to get paid? We want to get paid. You know,
We have the same needs and everything as far as food, clothing, shelter, and bills to be paid, and house and mortgage, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, then let me just say thank you for your time and your input and advice and everything you shared with us over here. The name of my podcast is called The Magic Word. So my question is, what is your magic word, or what is your philosophy? It could be a phrase, a sentence.
I want to talk more. No one's ever listened to me before.
And I'm a listener. I am listening to you.
Freedom.
Freedom. That's good.
Advice: live simple and be free.
Wow. Sounds like something that could be written on the back of a leather jacket and on a motorcycle heading down Highway 51.
Yeah. Something like that.
An easy rider.
There you go. I was just thinking that.
Thank you, Cosmo.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. So, the Magic Word Podcast. That was Cosmo, and this is Scotty out. So, let me...
How long have we talked?
Right about an hour, and then after I cut out a little 5 minutes. Let's see if we got people over here. Anybody, still have one person over there. It's Joey Cranford. Hey, Joey.
Hi, Joey. What's up, man? Have a question?
You have a question, Joey? No?
All right, Joey's not even looking.
I guess he might be having this in
He's
the background.
probably downloading something.
Could be downloading something. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for watching and for listening. And this will be coming up this Thursday on the magicwordpodcast.com. So if you are listening to this, you've seen the video, you can listen to the audio later in your car or while you're working out or whatever. So thanks a lot. I'm going to sign off.